In this video, we're gonna be creating these minimalistic YouTube thumbnails for your personal brand so you guys can grow a personal brand just like me. And someone commented in one of my latest videos how to create these. So here's the video. I'm gonna walk you through just how I create all of these thumbnails in a really simple and easy way. I don't like to waste time doing this, so I made a workflow that works absolutely perfectly for me, so I don't have to waste hours and hours of editing these thumbnails, just like 5 to 15 minutes max I spend on them. So without further ado, let's create this thumbnail for my video. So this is gonna be no bullshit like advice. This is exactly how I do it. I come over to all my other videos, so let's say my other YouTube thumbnails, I look at them, I click it, and then I literally just double click into it and grab the exact same face that I have. So I have multiple faces that you can see here. When I unclick this, you can see this one too. And then I also have this other one that we're gonna be using, this one right here. I just took a bunch of like really just clean, nice pictures of me. This one kind of gives me a little smirk. It looks like you just want me to punch me, but that is what I did. I just kind of took photos of myself, made sure that I had all the same background. So then I just kind of grabbed the background and then I subjected myself from the background. And now all I have is this regular layered background with generative AI. This is obviously not supposed to be here, but it doesn't really matter. And then what I like to do is add text always behind my head. So I just come over to the text tool, this like little T, I'm pretty sure it's T on your keyboard also, and just click, and then it'll bring up, you know, what you want to say. So for this one, I'm going to be creating Instagram reel covers for my upcoming video that I'm going to be recording after this. So I'm thinking about just doing covers. So COVERS, covers just like that. And then I click off and I rearrange this. So I just kind of bulk it up, make sure it's like in the middle, and then I just grab this, put it behind my head, and now boom, I have that. Then I like to add like a little bit of a drop shadow because you can see this LED light to my right actually is kind of blending in with the covers and doesn't really look good. So I want to kind of separate that. And what I like to do for that is just come over to the covers, you double click on this layer, don't double click on here or then it'll like rename it. Come over to like the right side and double click, then it'll bring up all these like really cool effects that you can add. And all I do is come over to the drop shadow. I make a drop shadow and I kind of like that drop shadow. I've kind of have my own settings, but I'll show you how I create these. You can copy this one. This is like a pretty sick drop shadow, but then I use like this really bold one and I put it right under my text. So like so it'd be 90, and then we'll adjust it because it's a little too far, and I like to keep the distance just right around 18 or just subtly below it, just to give it a really sense of difference between the background and the text. And then what I next like to do is always add like 2 things to the left and right of me. So I have 2 pictures here. Let's just put them up above me so we can actually look at them. So these are the reel covers that I use for my reels. So if you guys want to go watch that video, it'll be upcoming soon. I'm pretty sure the next video will pop out, but this is what I like to do to get like round corners to start it off. I come over to the rectangle and then I just kind of drag it like so. And then it's gonna be white. Make sure that you have a fill to white or any color you want. It doesn't really matter what color. Just make sure your fill is on a solid color and then your stroke is on 0. Then all you have to do is click off. Make sure that it's in the middle of that picture and it is exactly like the same height and width of it. And then hit done, come over to the corners, drag it and to your liking. I don't really care, I just kind of mess around with it every time. After that, I come over to the rectangle. I obviously grab this one because that one is above it. And then if you hold Alt, it's gonna bring up this like kind of thing when you go in the middle. It's like this square with this arrow. If you click on that, now it has these corners, if you can see it. Let me get rid of the background. See, as you can see it kind of gives it that really cool corners. And then I just kind of double check because you can see on the right side right here, there's still a little bit of white. So all you have to do to fix that is basically come over to the rectangle, zoom in on it, hold Shift, click on the right little thing, and then boom, drag it, boom, done. And do the exact same thing for this right one. So I usually will just duplicate this one. So just by Command J, it'll duplicate the rectangle, and then I'll grab the rectangle, bring it over to the other one, like so, and then resize it for it, just like so. Now we have both of these. Now what I like to do is put them behind my head. So I'm gonna add the background again. And also, before you do that, actually come over to these. And because every single time you're gonna like click on this and you move it like this, it's gonna go off apparently. So what I like to do is hold shift on both of these, make sure they're both highlighted. And then if you do Command E, it compresses them into one. And now when you move it around, it's just one single layer. So that's really a good hack. And then I like to do that for my other one also. So just really quick. Whoop. Now put them behind your head just like so by just dragging it and dropping it behind the head. And then what I always like to do to make sure they're the exact same size is I hold shift on both of them. So click both of them by holding shift. And then you get this like box that grabs both of them. And you can simply just drag this down. And it looks a little too big for like my liking. So I'm just gonna grab it to like about that size. And now all I have to do now is click off and then drag it over here and boom, it gives me this really cool look that I'm looking for. Then I like to do is kind of just align it up to my liking, just like so. And then the next thing I always do is add the effects to it. So the effects I like to do to really make it pop is you double click it once again, come over and hit the bevel. I like to use these settings, kind of give it that like that top to really give it like kind of like a little bit of a glow. So then it looks like the text is giving it just a subtle kind of like look that looks absolutely amazing. So if you guys want these settings, just pause the video or just copy them right now. And then I also do the exact same thing to the left side, which is just simply hitting bevel. And I also like to add drop shadows. So I'll add just these two drop shadows that I showed you earlier. Maybe not both of them, just that top one. And I also like to do the exact same thing to the other one. Then I always tilt it. So what I do is I click on it, make sure then you go over to like the corner or this thing, click on it again. It's gonna bring up all this stuff. Right click and then hit perspective. And then I always go to the corner. So if you go to this corner and then just drag downwards, it'll do that. And then if you drag it like to right, it'll kind of give these like weird kind of looks. But what I always do is grab this corner, drag it until about -3. And then I do the exact same thing on the other one. Just like so. And I've realized these don't really stick out as much as I would like them to. So what I'm going to do is actually add a glow to both of them. So essentially what I like to do is come over to the drop shadow and then just change the drop shadow color to like white or whatever type of color it looks like. So the last thing I want to add is an Instagram Reel logo. Obviously, when you're talking about Instagram Reel covers, you want to at least add the Instagram logo just so then if someone's looking at your thumbnail and they want to know about Instagram Reel covers, it gives them just that thought of, oh, this guy's talking about Instagram covers. You can see the covers are on the top and then the Instagram logo is there and then the Reel covers is also there. So it's like boom, 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 click on that video, let me watch it. So that's what I like to do. Just kind of get in the head of, if you were the viewer, what would you want to see in your thumbnails? So I like to do is always grab it small, like resize it down, and then put it behind my head. Everything is also always like behind me, and then just kind of resize it. And then we can kind of bring it up just like slightly, I would say, maybe. Kind of put it behind my ear just so that you can see like this little drop shadow behind me. And that's all you have to do is do the exact same thing in the other drop shadows, just make it pretty subtle. And to make this like Instagram Reel look a lot better is I double click it, come into here, make a bevel, it kind of looks a little better. And then I also like to add a nice drop shadow. And then this is kind of what I get. But the most important part is right after we add all these things, and that is exactly what we're gonna do right now, is which you just wanna click this top one, go all the way down to the bottom one, hold shift, click that bottom one. Now it's gonna highlight all these. Right click and make sure that you do it into a smart object. Don't do Command E. It really messes up everything if you want to go in and change either the picture of yourself or just anything. So don't do that. Make sure it's in here, because if you turn it into a smart object, you can simply just double click here and now boom, you can go in here, change anything you would like. So let's add that one special effect that I always like to add to make everything just look super good, and that's a camera raw filter. If you're not using camera raw filters for your final look, you're messing up all your thumbnails. So make sure you're clicked on this, come up to the filters, and then come to camera raw filter. This is basically going to allow us to color grade our entire thumbnail. So all I like to do is kind of mess around with it, make sure everything just looks like good. So just like kind of add just little subtle like hints to about everything. Just whatever my eye thinks looks best, that's what I do. There's nothing like too special about it. I don't really look at the waves up here. I probably should, but I don't like to because I'm just trying to get this done as fast as possible because I don't want to waste a ton of time doing this. So just like so, just kind of grab, see what you like. This vibrance makes everything look really good, and then you can kind of desaturize it just so then you're not like super duper crazy, you know? And then I don't really like to touch anything else. Maybe you can touch these like mid-tones, but I don't really like to touch them. I've also seen that in the new update, actually, there is this like kind of really cool thing. So if you go to this like filter thing, and then you go, I don't know if this is a new update or not, but you can go to like your blur, you can like go to the background and then like subtle it, it'll like do it for you. Or I've seen that you can actually grab the subject and make the subject like, it gives it its own color grade. As you can see when I'm scrolling through this, it's like making myself really cool, which is sick. So like this actually looks really cool. I'm actually gonna use that and then I'm gonna decrease it just slightly, just so then it gives me that kind of like ring right and makes my face pop more. Hit okay, and I'm done with this thumbnail. I'm gonna use this exact thumbnail, and I'm also gonna like change my face, just the different faces, just to see what YouTube viewers just like you would like. If you wanna learn more about how to build your personal brand through Instagram and short form content, go click this video right over here.